Hello, my friends, family, esteemed colleagues. Recently, there are plenty of videos coming out about the high sugar diet. And I was asked by several of you to make a comment on this. So here we go. Everyone who follows my work understands that not every carbohydrate is the same. And as far as our health goes, there are basically two carbohydrates which are playing a role. One of them is glucose, and the other one is fructose. Now, fructose is being bashed all the time by doctors, scientists, because what happens? When fructose is ingested, it is being absorbed through same transporting mechanism as glucose. So GLUT is going to take it and bring it into the blood. But our body does not have any use for it. It is not geared to use fructose. So fructose will not change any genetic expression. And it is going to basically be absorbed by liver, and it will be transformed into fat, and side product of this process is going to be production of uric acid. And because of the uric acid, all of a sudden, this is found as the main reason why sugar is bad. Okay, you eat sugar, even the table sugar. Table sugar is the sweetness comes from fructose. So it's usually about at least 30% fructose, and the rest is glucose, comes from vegetables. Now, when we are taking table sugar, we are not only taking fructose, we are taking glucose. Starches are deposits of glucose. Starch turns into glucose, not fructose. So why is this now big difference? Because our body produces glucose, it uses it as a source of carboxyl group that it needs when it produces proteins, but it can, in emergency, use it as a cellular fuel. And I called glycogen, which is where glucose for that purpose is being concentrated. I call it a booster fuel because it is not going to be disposable for cellular energy production as long as it is locked as a glycogen, which is glucose bond to protein. The bond has to break first, so then the glucose becomes available and be used in the Krebs cycle of energy production in mitochondria. Now, with fructose, this doesn't happen because cells will not absorb fructose for energy production. It is different vibration. Let's skip the chemical composition. It vibrates differently, and it is not possible to be used for energy production. Now, because all the fructose that we absorb will have to be transformed in the liver into fat, and inevitable production of uric acid will happen. Well, this acidifies the body. And when people have gout, when people have arthritis, well, this is mostly caused by sugar, by glucose, not fructose, but by glucose. Why? Why? Because we eat way more glucose than we ever eat fructose, and the same change into uric acid is going to occur when glucose is going to be transformed into fat to be able to be stored, because body cannot store sugar, glucose. There is no glucose storage. And those experts that claim that body uses glucose that we ate to produce glycogen, this is false. Body produces glycogen from fat in every cell. Well, every cell. Glycogen we only have in muscle cells and in the brain cells, because these are the two systems that needs to be boosted when our life is in danger. You have to quickly find solution, and then you have to have muscle strength to execute it. This is why only muscles and brain will have glycogen, and then we have a liver that can release more glucose because it has higher storage of glycogen as a general donor, because liver can actually push the glucose into the blood. Brain and muscle cells cannot do it. It's for their own personal use. We have to understand the body correctly. Now, when we are well hydrated, the uric acid being produced creates no problem because body eliminates it with urine. It just shoots it out. The problem is when we become dehydrated, when body has to save blood plasma, and since uric acid is, body also uses it as a so-called antioxidant. So we always have certain level of uric acid in the blood. Body does not treat it as a toxin, it treats it as a surplus. And if it cannot eliminate it, it is going to stick it into tissue. And very often it will crystallize in a kidney, causing kidney stone. It can crystallize in the tissue as well, causing little bumps. Now, this happens in the joints as well, cause of arthritis very often, rheumatism, and gout. And because the only way for fructose to be processed in a body is also producing uric acid, oh, it's a huge taboo. Fructose bad, bad, bad. This is poison. This is high fructose corn syrup. Terrible, terrible. Well, no matter how many fruits you eat, if you do not eat carbohydrates, I mean starches, you are not going to raise the absorption level. You are not going to produce more gluten because body does not need fructose, so it is not going to find it necessary because of more availability. Oh, let's get more of it in a system. It doesn't need it. Plants use it to entice us to eat fruit, so we spread the seeds. This is the purpose of fruit. And we love sugar. Brains love sugar. So we love the sweet, we eat the fruit. No matter how many fruits you eat, you are not going to create any genetic changes, and you are not going to be increasing absorption. The most that can happen that when you eat too much of fructose, like by eating mango. Mango has a huge amount of fructose. You get diarrhea because your body has limited absorption. And if you don't increase the absorption by eating starches, the absorption of fructose will be limited to probably around 20 grams of fructose a day. It's nothing. This is why if you are on strict fruit diet and you have not been eating any any starches, then you don't get any nourishment even because you don't absorb enough. You can say, well, according to scale, I ate so many apples and so many oranges and so many mangoes. I receive, 200 grams of fructose. Well, you did not, because your capacity of absorption is low. Yes, if you also eat starches and you have more gluten, you automatically increase absorption. So you will bring more fructose into the blood, create more fat and more uric acid. And then maybe fruit can provide you some energy because of the fat, not because of the carb that we call fructose per se, as a sugar that converts into energy. Mitochondria can create energy only from two sources. Glucose is the only starch that can do this, and fat, not even protein. Protein first has to be transformed into fat before it goes in energy production. So now when we are talking about a high sugar diet, well, there are people, they are skinny usually, and some of them are fit. They have muscle. They look like, a skeleton with little lumps on it, muscle lumps, and they can be healthy. They don't even shift genetically. So whatever fat is being produced, they automatically use it for energy. This is why, since the amount of fat that is being produced by eating fruits is so low, that leaves them always hungry. Now, hunger is a signal that is being produced. And as long as you have muscle on you, body can use the muscle to turn it into fat and to turn it into energy. This is why when you are on low caloric diet, like a fruit diet, you cannot build big muscles. You cannot even build fat deposits because there is not enough caloric value in there. There's not enough sugar to be turned into fat because your absorption is not such. And since you cannot directly burn fructose, you are not diminishing number of mitochondria in the cells because you are still in ketogenic state. You eat fruits, you remain in ketogenic state as long as you don't eat starches, cooked vegetables, or even cooked fruits, because there is some starch there in a fruit, but again, it's locked in a cellular membrane, and cellular membrane in plants is made out of cellulose, so you cannot digest it. Now, how does it work? Yes, people tell you, just watch some videos. I had to look just to see exactly what people mean by high sugar diet. Do they mean by taking a lot of table sugar and drinking sugar water and stuff like this? Or eating carbohydrates? No, basically when people are talking about high sugar diet, they are talking about fruitarian diet. And since the energy basically comes from fructose because there is nothing else in there, then automatically, if they start researching and they come to a scientist, doctors explaining how fructose is bad because of uric acid and da-da-da, well, they see right away discrepancy because they eat a lot of fruits, they consume a lot of fructose, they consume, they do not absorb. That's a difference. But not even scientific doctors pay attention to this. So, majority of these so-called high sugar diets are based on fruits. So you are talking about fruitarians, which I was addressing the problem of fruitarians. And again, we have to understand that body is created in such a way that it adjusts to environment. An environment is not only outside of the body, but also inside of the body. And you create the environment through the food you drink, through water that you drink, through air that you breathe. This all then creates environment inside of your body. And genetically, you keep adjusting to this. And it takes a lot of misuse, abuse, to crush this body. I have several friends who have been most of their lives vegans or vegetarians and then turn vegans and doing great, feeling good until all of a sudden they start collapsing. And once when they start collapsing, this is a rapid deterioration because when you are on a fruit diet, for example, when you eat a lot of fruits, there is no particular toxicity. Okay, no plant is healthy, but plant gives you fruit for you to consume to spread the seeds. So fruit is toxic when it's green, when it's not ripe, because seeds are not ready and the plant is protecting the seed. So it's protecting it by keeping the fruit toxic. Every green fruit is toxic until it ripens. And then when it's ripe, it's your offering. Hey, please eat it. Take it. So it's not designed to kill you. It's not designed to protect itself. It's offering for you to take and to entice you. It gives you fructose because fructose is not toxic to a body. If you want to sweeten things, the best thing to use is fructose, pure fructose. Now we say, no, corn syrup, high fructose. This is toxic, bad. Well, high fructose corn syrup is what, 50-50 or 40-60% of fructose and glucose. And glucose is the devil. Glucose is the one when it comes through your digestive system. And if it's more, it is frequent there. The signal becomes, oh, let's pick it up because we can use the stuff. And we don't have any more transporter. Well, let's make some more. Let's not waste this. And you start making more transporters, more good. And then you are absorbing not only the glucose, but also the fructose. So instead of absorbing 20 grams of fructose, you start absorbing 200 grams of fructose. Because your absorption rate is much greater, your body made more glut for this purpose. And since none of this fructose can be directly used to produce energy, it has to be converted through liver. Well, yes, then all the fructose that you took is now going to be turned into fat, which is great. Yeah, but there is uric acid. Well, no problem. rinse it. But to rinse it, you need plasma. Every time you urinate, this comes from your blood. That much less blood you have. You have to replenish it. And we don't drink. And also you lose minerals. Plants, fruits don't bring you minerals. Yeah, the juice may have a little bit if the soil is well mineralized, but lately they do not mineralize soil anymore. It's all hydroponic. It's all artificial stuff that is put on the soil. No minerals. And because fruits have no minerals, they start losing the taste and smell. The aroma is gone. Because the vibration of minerals also is being processed by your sense of smell. And smell is gone. And again, even with having, let's say, 40% fructose and 60% of glucose, and now we blame the fructose that we are getting fat, we are getting obese, and we are having insulin problem. Well, it's not the fructose, it's the glucose. You still have 60%. You have way more glucose there than you have fructose. And glucose, when it's converted into fat, produces uric acid the same as fructose does. No difference. But on top of it, it creates cellular problems because it can be burned. It raises immediately, it triggers insulin release, so the cells will absorb it. You don't have insulin release when you are on fruit diet if you are not having carbohydrates, or if your GLUT levels are low as they should be. You don't have insulin release. So again, understanding things correctly. So now once when you start understanding, then you start figuring out, well, yes, if I'm going to live on fruit diet, and I will be receiving energy from there, well, there is negligible amount of energy, so I have to eat a lot. And fruitarians that feel good, well, they have fruits all day long. They have 5 meals a day. And they are still skinny. Because the fructose has to be converted into fat, and then they use the fat. So they are way healthier than other types of veganism, or vegetarianism, where you are actually eating starches, where you're eating bread, pasta, potatoes, rice. That's your worst crap. And many of these high sugar diet people, they also eat a little bit of meat in their diet. So they receive what they need: amino acids, vitamins of the B complex that they cannot get from plants. Well, they get them from meat, intrinsic factor, because they eat meat. So combining meat and fruits, this is fine. You are staying in ketogenic state. The devil is starch. Starch is the devil, which is cooked vegetables, processed vegetables, grain, seeds. We should not eat seeds. Seeds are bitter for a reason. They are toxic. But then we peel the bitter skin and, now it's good. Well, seed is not your food. Plant doesn't give you seeds to eat. It gives you the fruit. But yes, seeds will have oil, and this is way more energy. By eating seeds, you get way more energy than by eating fruit itself. But then also you get poisons. And it's very, very difficult to digest because the base of the fiber there is cellulose, which you cannot digest. So you have to really grind the seeds well. That's why you have these teeth, flat teeth, molars, and you grind them. And then what you grind, whatever you can release there, you can then absorb. But still, if you will have diarrhea after having fruits and seeds, no matter how well you grind the seeds, you are going to find like a sandy stuff in your diarrhea. Well, this is the leftover of the seed because you cannot digest it. You can only what you break down and then reabsorb what has been released, which is very little. But oils, yes, because you have a bile secretion, and then you will be able to absorb the fats, the oils, which are again not good oils for us because they are omega oils, they are non-saturated oils, which when temperature rises makes it more active. For every double bond that is missing hydrogen can easily snap oxygen to it. So these omega acids from fruits, from seeds, can very, very easily be oxidized in the body and become toxic. We should really not eat them. But they also provide energy if they are not toxic. Is the fat. Still has to be metabolized through liver. Liver will be very busy. So, having this sugar diet, we should, to understand better, we should call it fructose diet. So you have fructose diet and glucose diet. Those are two different things. And then you have fat diet. You will notice everybody who is on high sugar diet, if they are not consuming carbohydrates, then they are very skinny. And they can be, and they have to eat a lot of fruits, and health-wise, they'll be fine because the mild toxicity that they will receive, because, you always snap a little bit, you break a seed, and even if you don't pay much attention to it, well, little poison is always going into your bloodstream. So your cells are going to be always in defensive mode. Toxicity is not high, but it's strong enough for cells not to absorb. When they don't absorb, they don't release. So longer you stay on that type of a diet, more dehydrated your cells become. And it can take 10 years, 12 years. But you will notice the skin dry, body frail, dehydrated. You just see dehydrated individual. And one day, it will collapse because cells will not tolerate anymore. They will release poison and it overwhelms the body. And all of a sudden, everything starts hurting. And the decay is rapid. Once when this happens, after that, the body deteriorates rapidly. So it's, again, understanding things as they are. You can live, I mentioned it already, many times over, that I have friends who never ate any meat products, animal products. They only stick to vegetable diet. And when they were over 40, going to 50 range more, 50, 55, all of a sudden they started bloating. They were always on the chubby side because they were not fruitarian, they were vegetarian and vegan, and they ate starches. This is why do we get fat on starches? Because we eat too much. We are not like Chinese or Japanese that eats a handful of rice for a meal. We have a huge plate and we load it with carbs. You use one fistful for energy and the rest has to be turned into fat. You produce huge amount of uric acid and fat that the body stores, and it cannot properly use it because you are changing the cellular metabolism. You are changing from ketogenic into glucoholic because insulin is shooting into the blood and forcing cells to absorb it. You don't have this on a fruit diet if you don't use carbohydrate. So it all depends exactly what you do. Is it healthy diet? Of course it's not healthy. But fruit diet is healthier than vegetable diet. Vegetables are unhealthy. But just look at the native tribes. Down in Africa, hunters don't even eat fruits because it debilitates them. They only eat meat and milk. And they are skinny because they don't have much of it, but they are full of energy. They are never sick. When you are fruitarian, not only that, you don't even have a flu because your cells are always compressed. And even in a sudden change of environment, when compression happens, well, cells already have closed pores, so even compression will not allow them to release any toxin. So blood doesn't become more toxic during the sudden shift. And you don't have symptoms of flu. You don't have symptoms of toxic blood and detox of toxic blood, which is flu. So this is all understanding the body correctly. I love to eat fruits. I have here 10 orange trees. Well, it's not my house because I would never put 10 orange trees here. And, occasionally I have here a letter put up because we are having friends coming over. Then I take down oranges, and when I start making orange juice, I drink 2 liters of orange juice in one day. I love it. Who doesn't love fresh, squeezed orange juice? Is it healthy? No. Is it poisonous? No. It is what it is. It provides you with some tasty drink. And if I only live on orange juice, how? I will lose weight, and that's it. So living on high sugar diet, and you can do it. But is it healthy? Yeah, for some time you can consider it healthy because it doesn't directly poison you, but your cells are suffering. They are closed. They are not absorbing well. And although the maintenance can be done because the little fat that you have is available as a nutrition even when you are sleeping. So you have a good sleep. Your body is regenerating during the sleep, which it doesn't happen when you are in glucose state. So in general, your health is almost as good as if you would be on carnivore diet. But the only problem is that it's not sustainable for a long time. Again, depends what long time means. If you think 20 years is a long time, it's okay. But if you think 100 years is a long time, then it's not okay. You will never survive 100 years living on fruit diet. You will survive multiple hundreds years living on carnivore diet, raw carnivore. Well, this is how things are. I don't know if that explained to you well enough. I didn't want to go into details of mitochondria, how it makes energy. I explained this in my other videos. This is strictly to make the distinction between what high sugar diet is, because high sugar diet could be also eating starches. Yeah, but then it's going to be completely different thing what is going to be happening in a body. So when we are talking about high sugar diet, we should actually specify what kind of sugar are we talking about. Are we talking about fructose, or are we talking about glucose? Are we talking about fruits or starches? Okay, my friends, I hope this helps you to clarify a little bit of what is happening with these different diets. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Love you all. Namaste.